What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and in today's video, being that it's Friday and we have one more day until the weekend, I figured that we should go ahead and do something that I haven't done in a while, and that's the weekly subscriber Q&A. Although it's not really weekly when I do it like once a month at this point. I should really work on that. But anyway, before we get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so that you smash that like button and subscribe if you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this. And without further ado, you guys know what time it is. Cue that intro. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Like I said in the introduction, we're going to be doing a subscriber Q&A for those of you who haven't been here for one of these videos, since it's been about, like I said, about a month since I've done one. What we like to do is we like to go through our various socials and just kind of make some comments or answer some questions about certain comments that were left on our various socials throughout the past week. And I figured now that we have the new setup, we'll go ahead and try it out this way, see how it looks, how it feels, how it goes. So if you guys enjoy this format, let me know in the comment section down below, because it's a little bit different now that we have the new setup, not gonna lie. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and go through the past week or so worth of comments, and we're gonna go ahead and answer some of these. So the first thing I wanna talk about, since you guys are going to notice right off the bat here, a big talking point after yesterday's video, was the PC version of the King of Fighters All-Star being announced in that Korean dev video. Now, if you guys didn't see yesterday's video, we did go ahead and react to that Korean dev video. It was number 11. So if you guys want to watch that in its entirety, link will be in the description. And then if you want to watch that Korean dev video in its entirety, the link will be in the description to that video. So with that being said, a lot of people are asking me a very similar question when it comes to the PC version of this game, and that is going to be, do I think that it is going to be something that is actually going to work once it is launched? And you know, of course it is impossible for me to answer this question. I do not have any connections at Netmarble, whether people like to believe I do or not. You know, at this point that's kind of the meme, but it is not the case. So in my opinion though, going based off of just what I know about the PC clients for some of Netmarble's other games, and there's actually a comment that was left on yesterday's video that I would point you guys to as to what I'm kind of looking at when it comes to this, and that's actually going to be from the Gamer FE here. So as you guys can see, he had gone ahead and left a comment saying, with how stable and optimized the PC ports for 7 Deadly Sins and 7 Night 2, I'm 100% it'll be enjoyable experience on PC for whoever uses it. So when it comes to that, I think that when it comes to this actual PC version of this game, that it'll probably end up surprising a lot of people. I had made this comment in yesterday's video, but given how stable the 7 Nights 2 version of that game is for PC, I think that Netmarble does know what they're doing when it comes to these PC ports. I've never heard anything really negative about their PC clients for the most part. Of course, there's always going to be little nitpicks here and there, but I do think that this PC port is going to work really well. The thing that I'm most curious about is going to be as it pertains to something we don't talk a lot about on the channel, which is going to be Championship. Now, when it comes to that, I just wonder how it is going to work if someone is playing on the PC version of the game and they end up getting matched up against somebody that's playing on their phone, you know, with the network issues and so on. We do expect the network issues to get better with the PC client version. So it could be a situation where maybe that could become a problem. I don't necessarily know how all that works, so I'm not going to sit here and profess that I'm some sort of expert on that. I'm not necessarily someone that is extremely versed on the background details and information on how these different networks work and jive together, but I do think that overall the PC version of this game is definitely going to have to work better than the mobile version at this point, because let's face it, at least if you're on most Android devices, you know, it's one of those situations where the slow-mo bugs and so on have plagued this game for a very long time, and I'm just excited for the ability to not only play with a controller or a joystick, but also I'm just excited to be able to play this game without having having as much of the slow-mo bugs, because I'm very curious what that will do for my numbers. I've always wondered that, so it'll be nice to kind of see how that works. But in general, I do think that it'll be in a good place. My biggest question at this point is the timeline on when they're planning on releasing it, because I'm very curious if this is going to be something that we're still a few months out from, or if this is going to be something that we're going to see in the next week or two. So time will tell. I get the feeling it's sooner rather than later, but I don't necessarily have any information on that. But thank you to all of you guys who have been asking me these types of questions about this. I know a lot of people are super excited about the PC version of the game. It seems to be the biggest talking point coming out of that dev video yesterday, and I think for very good reason. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So this next one I should probably talk about. I've had a few people comment things like this. So people have been asking me if I'm planning on spending money on SS Terry. Probably not. That is not my intention at this point. The only way that they could get me to spend money on this upcoming banner at all whatsoever in any way, shape, or form is if SS Rock was involved. At that point, I would super consider it. But as it sits right now, like I told you guys in that video the other day, I'm not looking for excuses to be spending money on this game in any way, shape, or form. My opinion right now going into the next SS banner, depending on who the partner is with SS Terry, at this point is just to use my free login rubies. That's kind of where I'm at with things. I'm probably going to pinpoint and eyeball the cards first, because as I've always told you guys, cards tend to age better than characters anyway, and those tend to be the things that you will regret missing out on the most. So I'm probably going to more so be looking at those, but at the end of the day, I might look at going in on the characters, but it's really going to have to be a character that's going to sell me on the banner besides Terry, because I will definitely probably try to get one copy of Terry just to say that I have him. But at the same time, even that's kind of questionable at this point. Like I told you guys, I'm planning on maybe just saving through this SS wave and waiting for the next BS banner. In general, BS banners tend to be, in my opinion, a little bit stronger in general, so that's just something that I feel like I would prefer. But especially since we know that at this point it's probably going to be Saiki and Mukai, I'm not necessarily a super fan of either of those characters, but at the same time, I think that the redesigns, as I've said in the past, for those two characters could end up looking just absolutely awesome. And what I've seen of SS Terry so far, as much as I love Terry, you know, I'm being a lot more picky in 2022 as far as how I spend things, so I'm probably not going to. So sorry if I shattered any expectations there. What else you guys got here? Xavier says, it is hard to sell KoF AS gameplay as entertaining. Personally, I think it's the camera angles for the maps and the fact that the models aren't up front. I've been thinking about this issue for a while. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, really, you've got kind of the side angle view if you're talking about camera angles of the characters on any of these given maps, which is not much dissimilar from any fighting game out there. You know, I think that really the biggest thing here Xavier is pointing out is, you know, for a lot of people, they might just be bored with the game. Some people have shorter attention spans than others. You know, I've been accused of being bored with the game several times in the comments, and I don't really know where that comes from. I'm not at all bored with this game whatsoever, and I haven't said that. I said in the past that if things continued to be the way that they are right now without any new content dumps, that eventually I might get there, but I'm not there yet. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's hard for KoF AS gameplay to be entertaining. I do think, though, that it can get repetitive. I agree with that. It's one of those things where, again, it comes back to the content issue at times. So, you know, after yesterday's Korean dev video, hopefully they are working on it. They say that they are. We are going to be getting that new guild thing that they're planning on releasing, that new guild dungeon or whatever they're calling it. So, you know, at the end of the day, things can change. But, you know, right now I think that the game is going to end up being in a pretty good spot soon with things such as the PC client. I think that that is going to be a much bigger deal than a lot of people might realize. I think you can definitely tell from the kind of groundswell of support after that announcement for it that it's definitely something a lot of people are excited for. And I think that going into 2022, as long as they keep giving us something new to do, that necessarily doesn't have to be true, but you know, anything can get boring after a while. You know, this game's been out for what, 3 years now, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm not bored with the game yet. I find the game entertaining. You know, I know a lot of people do and some people don't, and that's okay. Now we have... I'm literally a dog. How are you typing this? I didn't know that my dog demographic was so big. But anyway, I'm really struggling on the AP side and almost running out of auto clear tickets, which will really mess up my time schedule. Yeah, everybody is. Ever since Epic Quest Chapter 2 came out, everybody's been struggling with their AP at this point, it seems like. So yeah, I mean, at this point, for me personally, I've had to stop grinding on Epic Quest Episode 2. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, at this point, I don't know when I'm gonna go back into it. For me personally, and this is just a YouTuber problem, so yeah, take it for what it is, but I've been very dogged. No pun intended, been really dogged on how I'm spending my AP recently. The reason for that is because it would be a absolute disaster if I ran out of AP at one point or another, because then I wouldn't be able to cover a lot of this different content. So even with this current boss syndrome generic memory thing going on, trying to grind on the battle card dungeon, I'm actually thinking whether or not I'm going to be able to pick it up, because it's costing me a lot of AP. I'm about 20k away, and I can get it, but at what cost? So I don't know. It's one of those things, though, that right now I am personally feeling this one, just like I said, because if anything comes around, I need to be able to cover it, and I need to have X amount of AP in order to potentially do so, depending on what it is. We've talked about in the past, they've been releasing a ton of rush dungeons and things along those lines that cost a lot of AP. So yeah, this is a good comment, dog. I just, at this point, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's plenty of different ways we can get AP at this point, but it is starting to add up in a major, major way. So at this point, all I can tell you is sometimes you're going to have to skip things, and it's unfortunate, but we all have to do it. Even I do. So it is what it is, right? As I always say. Here's one that I've been getting quite a bit. People asking me what emulator I've been using on PC. I have been using Mumu Player. So far, it's actually treated me pretty well. There will be times where it runs kind of slow, but then again, it's very tough for me to tell whether that's the player itself or if that's the game. Although from what I've heard, it might just be Mumu Player, but yeah, I have had minor issues here and there, but it doesn't necessarily crash as much as I had noticed with other things. I had tried LD Player before that, as well as BlueStacks, and neither of those seem to be very reliable. So I've just been using Mumu Player, and it seems to be working pretty well. So for those of you who have been wondering which emulator I've been using, I've just been using Mumu Player, and it seems like it's been working fine, at least until we end up getting that PC client, right? Here's a good one. Plot twist. Theo works for Netmarble, and he's just the community manager. If I were the community manager, I would hope I'd be doing at least somewhat of a better job than Yuri, but yeah, unfortunately no, and they have not offered that to me yet. So yeah, you guys can petition them if you want. But the thing with this game is that it is not consistent. You never know what they're going to throw at you next, Spanner. Look at KoF UMOL. People spend like crazy because they know what they're getting. I do agree with you on this. I have said this before, and I'll say it again because it's been a while. I have always said that Netmarble would definitely benefit the community in a big way if they would give us something akin to like a roadmap for each month. I play plenty of games where they do that, so, you know, it'd be nice if they would go ahead and at least give us somewhat of a heads up on what we can expect in the next month. But at the same time, it's Netmarble, and they don't really have a track record for that, nor do they seem like they want to do that, so yeah, that's unfortunate. Here's one that I've actually had a few people ask me, surprisingly. Any ideas how to beat Saul in Arena for balanced fighters? I attack him, get stunned, and KO'd. He attacks me, same situation. Easiest thing to do is either to just knock him down constantly, or to just go ahead and CC him to death, or if you want to be really cheesy, you can just use a character that has nothing but projectile skills, knock him on his butt, back up to the opposite end of the screen. He tends to just rush towards you blindly, and you can just use another projectile skill, knock him back down, rinse and repeat until he's dead. That's another option that you can use. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. He can be annoying, but really just cheese him. You know, the biggest thing that I always think about whenever I go up against a character that I'm worried about if I'm running on fumes with character choices and things such as Absolute War, and I'm up against a character like that, I just go ahead and revert back to just knocking them down on the ground and then just kind of cheesing them back and forth until they end up dying on me. So it's one of those things where it can be kind of annoying for some of these characters, characters, but especially if you're somebody that doesn't have a ton of really high level characters, there's plenty of ways you can do it. I might eventually do a video where I break down different gameplay matchups in Absolute War so that I can show you guys kind of how I cheese different characters here and there, because there's plenty of different things you can exploit. But with Saul Bad Guy, I find characters that have either CCs or characters that are going to be projectile based to be really good options against him, and it tends to be a lot easier that way. But anyway, you guys, I think that's going to do it for this Q&A. We've gone through quite a few questions and comments here. If you have a question or a comment that you would like me to read here on the channel, you can go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below in any of my videos, and who knows, maybe I'll go ahead and read it here on the channel. But with all that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Continue.